In this series of videos, I'm going to show you the features of Simpler and Sampler, the two sampling plugins that come bundled with Ableton Live Full Suite. Let's take a look at Simpler first. I'm going to load up a blank default Simpler preset by double-clicking on Simpler, and it loads into the MIDI track. Immediately, we're confronted with this black box that says Drop Sample Here. So I'm going to go to a sample I've pre-selected, and I'm going to drag it and drop it into this box. Now that it's in there, I can use my MIDI keyboard to play it like I would an instrument. I can adjust the start and end times of the sample with these flags. So if I don't want that slight delay and that long release, now I've made it shorter. Furthermore, I can adjust the portion of the loop that's active within these flags by adjusting the start and length parameters. I can adjust the gain of the sample, increasing it or decreasing it. And over here, I can choose to have the sample loop. Now the snap button is on, and that's a little technical, but what that's going to do is minimize the pops and clicks that occur when you chop digital audio. It tries to adjust the beginning and end of the sample to the zero crossing point of the center line. You can adjust the voices, and there's a re-trigger option, which you can investigate more. And then over here, we have warping controls. Now, if I warp this, then I have the ability to sync this with my tempo. And now you can hear that when I change pitches, it doesn't go faster or slower, it just sort of transposes, but it maintains its speed. There are several warping algorithms, and if I click on them, you can see we have beats, tones, texture, repitch, complex, and complex pro. In a future video, I'm going to go over each of these warping algorithms in detail, but for now, you can just kind of experiment with them. If you would like to switch it to beats, then you have a few other settings to consider, like are you going to preserve transients or some kind of note division? In the tones warping algorithm, you can choose a grain size. Again, I will go over the warping algorithms in more detail in another video. You can also set the sample to be a certain length, for instance, 1 beat long. The last thing I'm going to show you in this video is that you can actually reverse the sample. I'm going to unwarp it here and zoom out. To zoom, you just hover your mouse until it turns into a magnifying glass, and you can zoom in and out that way. And I'm going to drag my flags back out. In Simpler, you can reverse the sample here by right-clicking and choosing Reverse Sample. There are some other options here. You could crop the sample. This would be if it were part of a longer sound file, you could crop it. You could normalize the volume. If there were wide disparity in volume levels across the sample, that might help. And then you can just manage the sample in other ways. You can show it in your Ableton browser, in your Finder if you're on a Mac, or a browser if you're in a Windows. And you can manage the sample with the file manager. For now, I'm just going to choose reverse. And you can see it's flipped around, and now when I press it, and that's kind of a neat trick. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the other modes Simpler has to offer.